The government is shut down. There were 3 Democrats, or I should say 3 who caucus with Democrats, who voted in favor of ending conversation on the Republican continuing resolution. That was Fetterman, surprise, surprise, Angus King, who also voted in that way in March, and Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada. It is really important that you call your Democratic senators and tell them to hold the line, particularly if you are in New Hampshire or in Nevada, because Maggie Hassan is one of those Democrats who voted the last time around. Jackie Rosen also in Nevada. Gallego is also one who needs encouragement. And
Kirsten Gillibrand. Look at who voted and capitulated to Trump the first time around. I think it was around 10 Democrats, if I remember correctly, in the Senate. They should be prime targets for calls.
The good news is that Gillibrand has I think it is a full weekend junket in a wine cellar in Sonoma Valley.
Hey, wine cave.
Wine cave in Sonoma Valley, forgive me, with, is it Haley Stevens?
Yes, the AIPAC
funded. We will win! So they are going to be rallying in support of wine producers, sommeliers, wine reps, and collectors, wine collectors.
Wine collectors. I mean, we have a big tent in the Democratic Party.
Yes, all of those. Sommeliers, wine representatives, wine collectors, and wine producers. They're all, there's room for all of them in the
Tuscan-inspired spa.
Exactly.
Which is
that's right.
But if
Cold
you're
plunges.
Yeah, pro-Palestine, obviously you're not in the tent. But it's a big tent. It's a big tent.
It's a big tent. All right, but let's get to some of the Republican talking points that are being rolled out. Speaker Johnson went out there and he, it's frustrating to watch the host say, and I saw Caitlin Collins do this as with him as well. They, to their credit, they basically say you're lying. None of what you're saying is true, but then they let him finish his, his lie. Later in the program, we will specifically address J.D. Vance's lie, but understand, they were always going to lie about something. So it's not like this government shutdown is giving them a unique opportunity to lie. What it is doing is it's giving the Democrats a unique opportunity to press their point, whether it's specifically about this budget or about the Trump administration at large. Understand, we are right at the precipice of the economy going into the crapper. Jobs numbers are down. Inflation is up. That is it's not even a recipe for stagflation. That's almost the definition of stagflation. So there's a big opportunity here for Democrats to come out and, while they're shoving microphones in their faces and carrying it on the news, to carry this message. But here's the Republicans' attempt. And of course, it's focused on immigrants. That's all they got.
This morning, the Democratic proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement, what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George. No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves. 44 Senate Democrats voted to reject a clean nonpartisan continuing funding resolution to keep the United States government open. The Democrats said instead that they wanted to give health care to illegal aliens instead of keeping critical services provided for the American citizens. That's what happened, plain and simple. Every Democrat in the House, except one, voted against the clean continuing resolution. It was nonpartisan in nature. There are no policy riders on it that Republicans favored. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer and other Democrats voted for in March, but they've changed their tune.
Can you pause it? I'm sorry. That is why it was so essential that Schumer not cave in March, because then he has that talking point there. Why it's important to shut down the government now is because a clean continuing resolution, as he's referring to, would be an extension of the already horrific budget that those Democrats agreed upon and caved to earlier this year. It gives them less of a leg to stand on right now when they allowed it to get to the floor and allowed the budget to pass.
It's why that there needs to be more made of the fact that Donald Trump is breaking the law by going around and not funding things that we have appropriated.
Right.
Now, Schumer did mention this when he came out of that meeting yesterday after praising Donald Trump, or 2 days ago, mentioned that as a pocket rescission and impoundment, which, you know, again, we know what that means because we do that for a living. But normal Americans do not know about the 1974 Impoundment Act. All you need to say is Donald Trump is abusing his authority with tariffs and with spending, and there's no point in us passing a budget if he's going to do that. But but you're right. That
would have been so much stronger if they had all stood in opposition to the horrific budget that strips millions of people with from Medicaid if they did that in the spring.
But let's just let Mike Johnson grind this out a little more.
Democrats voted for in March, but they've changed their tune. They changed their tune because Chuck Schumer is having political problems right now. That's just a simple fact, and everybody knows it. He's trying to outrun the far left portion of his base, so he's decided to inflict pain on the American people.
Here are
that's
facts.
The reality of what we're facing.
Here are the facts. The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act. They cannot receive health care subsidies.
No.
Illegal immigrants are ineligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Program. The Democratic bill does not make them eligible.
It does, actually, because what it does is it unwinds the changes that Republicans
Pause it.
put
First
into
off, okay, we don't need to hear him grind this stuff out anymore. The fact is that this bill only extends Affordable Care Act subsidies, or I should say the one that the Democrats offered, extends Affordable Care Act subsidies and tries to reverse the Medicaid cuts that are coming in 2026. Now, nobody knows, or I should say really, into 2027. Nobody is feeling those Medicaid cuts. We're about a month or two away from feeling the exploding premiums in the exchanges. And of course, that goes everywhere else. Everything else they're talking about, the idea that undocumented immigrants have access to health care under either Medicaid or under the Affordable Care Act is not true. We have a law in this country that anybody who shows up in the ER with an emergency situation is treated regardless of their citizenship. But you cannot, as an undocumented immigrant, go in and get health insurance. Now, some states have chosen to expand their coverage, but that is not a function of what the feds are doing. Right. That is a function of what they're doing with their own Medicaid programs.
And the ACA, it statutorily explicitly says that if you are undocumented, you are not able to access or pay or buy into the exchanges, even if you were to pay out of pocket. This was in the law, and Biden, towards the end of his lame duck term, allowed for dreamers who are a little 500,000 around dreamers in this country who have legal status. It expanded the ACA to allow them to buy into it. But the Trump administration have already reversed it by saying that they under like HHS, they are not lawfully present. So they've reversed even that. He has no leg to stand on. He's just explicitly lying.
Yeah, and that the dreamers, to be clear, are here because of prosecutorial discretion. That they do not technically have legal status because it was never codified under Obama or Biden, for that matter, as a statute. They were included as people who, because of the prosecutorial discretion, could qualify as having a legal status. And again, like you say, HHS reversed that, so there's no difference. But here is also two Republicans who are arguing there's no reason for the Democrats to pass a continuing resolution or a budget because the president has shown on multiple occasions he doesn't care what the budget is. He's going to spend the money the way he wants. Here is a quote, and I think this is from Bloomberg. Representative Mike Simpson, Republican of Idaho. I don't think the Democrats want to shut down either. Their concern right now, and it's a legitimate concern, is how can we agree to any deal when our OMB director, Russell Vought, will just impound the funds, in other words, not spend them, and say we're not going to spend them there. Here is another quote from another Republican, a senior Republican member of the Appropriations Committee. Quote, if you're a Democrat, even just like a mainstream Democrat, your predisposition might be to help negotiate with Republicans on a funding mechanism. Why would you do that if you know whatever you negotiate is going to be subject to the knife pulled out by Russ Vought? So in other words, and let's be clear, I mean, they're talking about the White House and Donald Trump. It's not like Russ Vought is operating outside of that. They know that there's no point to this. Here is Mick Mulvaney, former chief of staff of Trump, who apparently, because he's out of the business a little bit, he's not as slippery about lying and can't embarrass himself in the same way because he's probably working as a lobbyist somewhere right now. But here he is on News Nation. I don't know who the guy in the middle is, but the other guy is Brian Tyler Cohen.
I see both sides not even agreeing on some of the facts here. You know, Trump says Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants. You have Democrats who say this is about Medicare and Obamacare. If it's not even agreement there, that's where the hesitation I have is. That's where
I would just say, if you are hosting a news show and you have hesitation about the facts, there's an easy way to resolve this. You go to page 51 of the appropriations bill that the Democrats offered, and you will see subtitled, keep going, no, go down. Subtitled D, Medicaid. You will see there is nothing in there that refers to expansion to undocumented immigrants. Go ahead, go back.
And as we've said before, the undocumented immigrants subsidize our health care because they still pay taxes, but they don't get the benefits.
But regardless, if this guy's just having a question of fact, I have an idea for you. Yeah. Get the effing internet.
I know.
What's your job?
There, that's where the hesitation I have is. That's where I'm concerned that we're going to even see anything.
Mick, would you agree that not a single dime of ACA subsidies goes toward undocumented immigrants?
Would you agree with me that what the big,
answer the question. It's not that hard to just answer the question.
Wait, again, listen, we don't do this on this show. I don't know if you've ever been on here before, but we don't talk over. We're not here to yell at each other. I'm not going to do this anymore, Jesse.
Okay. So, all right.
There you go. That's the answer right there.
No,
can't even acknowledge objective reality.
Brian, Mick responded. Brian responded. Okay,
no, that's not actually what happened. No,
he rage quit. He's threw his controller at the TV.
Listen, they want to talk about whatever the big beautiful bill did. Whatever the big beautiful bill did, it's not its real name. Whatever that bill did has nothing to do with this except for the idea of not cutting all of those people on Medicaid. But in terms of and those people on Medicaid were never undocumented immigrants. And so they don't want to answer this question because they know that's the case. Now, the government is going to continue to stay shut down this is probably going to last, I would imagine, weeks at a minimum. But at one point, people are going to get these huge bills from the ACA in the exchanges, and that's going to cause everybody's premiums to go up. And
if Schumer caves, and in the end, the only thing he gets are the ACA subsidies and making sure that those healthcare costs don't go up. That is good for Americans, but know that that's what Republicans secretly want.
Of course,
because they timed the big ugly ass bill to have the Medicaid cuts, where you're going to have between 10 to 12 million people uninsured by 2034 because of these cuts. They timed it to hit right after the midterms. But as Sam says, these ACA marketplace the ACA costs going up like this in the exchanges, that would be felt immediately.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.